What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Sarkis Unlocked. Today, the location has changed, and it's a good one. 45 White Oak in Wellesley Farms, and I have the great pleasure of having the man behind this masterpiece, Nick Schiffer of NS Builders. Nick's gonna jump on and tell us about his process building this magnificent home, the challenges, the wins, the losses, and everything that has went into building his business and becoming one of the most prominent builders in Massachusetts. We are here at 45 White Oak with Nick Schiffer himself, the man, the myth, the legend behind NS Builders.
Shit, man.
And behind this masterpiece. I know that you've been working on this project for over 3 years now, or over 2.5 years.
Yeah.
The construction took about two years, but you've owned a lot. You've been at 45 White Oak, visiting this property, being on the land, doing everything for 3 years now, probably.
Yeah, we just hit 3 years.
And I've driven by, but you had invited Manny and I to come check out the property, I'd say about a month ago.
Yeah.
And I saw it online. I saw the progress. I've watched all your videos.
It's a lot of video.
I know where there's hidden screws in this house. I know how the doors open, the hidden vanities where you get the mirrors sliding, blocking the windows, but then bringing the windows back. I've seen it all. It's amazing.
Thank you.
But once again, I didn't really understand the value until I walked through and I actually witnessed all of the detail and heard you tell the story.
Yeah. Well, you stopped me in that too, and I really appreciated it. You looked at me and you said, "Hey, this is way nicer than I thought it was."
I wasn't gonna bullshit, you know what I mean? And I was like, I'm an authentic dude. You were very authentic too. You and I think, really, follow the same wavelength on, just full authenticity. We kind of tell people how it is. We don't really sugarcoat it. That's why I have Manny. That's why you have Julian. Yeah. The nice guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so true. I looked at you and I said right away, I was like, man, I really didn't understand it. Now I do. And we sell a lot of homes.
Yeah. And
I walk a lot of homes. And I think that the biggest struggle for me, one representing a buyer and one representing a seller too, is selling a spec house.
Yeah.
Because there's been a lot of nightmares when I've had to deal with product not being built to last. You're a developer. We got all the love for all the developers out there.
Sure.
A lot of great developers who are building, but they're building to sell. Mm-hmm. They're building to make as much money as possible. It's their business.
Yeah.
And I normally, if you had asked me, do you want to sell this magnificent new construction house for $10 million, or do you want to sell this house that was built in 1928 and custom renovated 10 years ago, I'm going with that one.
Yeah.
It's just something else. It's the house isn't going anywhere, first of all. It was built in 1928 or even 1890, and it was done by the current owners. And, it's one of those things where a custom build is always going to have more value.
Yeah.
Now, what you did here, we'll get into it. But let's go back to before you had the logo on your shirt.
Sure.
And before NS Builders was even a thing, before your 200 plus followers on Instagram. Give me the rundown on where it all started for with your passion for construction and building cool shit.
Yeah, like that's my mantra, right? Is building cool shit with cool people. But I was a carpenter my whole life. As a child, I worked for my dad for 11 years in his wood shop. I taught myself metalworking, and I was just always involved in building stuff. Before I worked for my dad, it was, I'd build skate ramps and forts and sheds and whatever I could. I just genuinely really enjoyed working with my hands. And when I had left my father, I went into high-rise construction and got kind of introduced to this whole world of, heavy construction, high-rise construction, development, and then the city in general. And
So you broke into the suburbs before the city.
I had never been to the city prior to working in the city.
I met a really good builder about a week ago, and he knows you. We'll talk about him after, but tons of respect for you, by the way, which is what I love, by the way, in business, is when you speak about, your competition. I don't really believe in competition. You and I, we're pretty much at the highest level of our industries and in our trades. But he spoke very highly of you. He goes, "Oh, unbelievable builder, great person." He actually said something that was really funny that I'm not going to say on camera, but basically saying you got a lot of guts.
Yeah.
But he used another term, and he said, "I'll never go in the city." You might know who it is.
Yeah.
He builds custom homes, only custom homes. He's doing something in Westwood right now, but he doesn't go in the city. He's like, "I'll never go in the city."
Yeah.
And a lot of builders are like that because, different strokes for different folks, I guess.
Sure. A lot of what has led me up to today I've always really enjoyed challenge and things that are hard. And that has went in and out of my life professionally and personally. And the intentional decision to do something that feels uncomfortable or is hard really is really what I'm always after.
You just put the whoop on today.
Well, I'm not super excited.
So
about
that's going to be a big challenge for you, brother.
This is going to tell me stuff I don't want to know.
Yes, it is. It's going to make you very uncomfortable.
Yeah. I thought I was 100% recovered. I guess not. But the ability to look at something and just fully believe that the only way that this works is if I just see my way through it. And I've ran a couple marathons. It was the same thing. It was, I don't like running, but I did it because this is something that people say you can't do. It's really hard. You got to do all this training. And I was
When did you run a marathon?
I think it was I forget. One year they did it in the fall. So it was the year before. And then I ran 3 back to back, all Boston. I didn't qualify, so I'm not fast. And frankly, I can run a half marathon and feel great, but a full marathon is just, I hated it, and I hated it the second time, and I hated it the third time, but it's this mental game, and I bring that back to business where it's there's very challenging times, and I know we'll talk about challenges in general, but
yeah.
When I am at that crossroad of this is really hard, most people would just say, I'm gonna just stop doing it, and I remind myself of the fact that is the common decision. So in my mind, I'm the only thing I have to do to differentiate myself is not quit. I don't have to even get better today. I just have to not quit. And
but
so
you do believe when, I've seen this so many times on Instagram or on a YouTube video, people always talk about how people give up when they're so close.
So it's interesting because I ran the first marathon because I read Goggins' book. And he has this quote in the book about when you feel like you're totally tapped, you're 67%. He made the number up. I remember reading it and thinking you're full of shit. But I was but now it's stuck in my mind that when I feel as though my body is depleted, whether it's, physical or mental, I'm wait, no, Goggins said I'm only 67%. I have so much more to give. And it's just, as cliche as that sounds, I think that is what life and business is it's the tenacity to push through the most difficult times.
I completely agree, and I think that, I always say this, I pretty much bring this quote up in every time I sit in this chair, and whenever I'm on Sarkis Unlocked, is mistakes and failures are not a real thing. They're just lessons in disguise.
Yeah, of course.
It's how many lessons have you had? That's the first question I was going to ask you. Literally, it's what's one thing that you saw on job sites at a young age, right when you got started in your career, that you could have been someone else's failure potentially, but it was your lesson, or could have just been their lesson that hopefully they eventually fucking fixed, which some people just continue to mess up. But what's one thing that you saw that you're I promise myself I will never do this on my projects?
Honestly, the actual commitment to quality, and I remember very specific projects where it was we get to a crossroad, whether it was a design intent or a quality issue, where it's like, don't worry about it, it will get covered up. Don't worry about it, we'll be fine. And that really frustrated me, because I'm like, we should care enough to want to do a really great job. And the fact that we're essentially saying we can just hide it below a wall surface or floor, whatever it is, that really frustrated me. And that's ultimately what led me to starting my own business.
It's so true. And I say this all the time. It's like, we're in a team meeting, you run a big team, you know, I'm talking to my team and I'm like, sometimes I hear people say, but that's not how it's done in real estate. That's not how other people are doing it. I'm like, exactly my point. That's not how everybody is doing it. We have to be disruptive if we want to be different.
Right.
We have to walk a fine line of crazy, which is something that you've done in your career. Now, most builders do sell a finished product, right? Mm-hmm. You're selling the process of building a masterpiece real time, whether it's 45 white oak or it's one of the 100 jobs you've done for a custom build for a client of yours. You're showing people literally cool shit that you're doing. You know, do you think transparency is becoming the new luxury in this market that you're in? Like, do you think that, like, the fact that you're showing it and you're being completely transparent with people is helping you more get the clients and get people to gravitate towards NS builders? Or is it just giving other builders and so-called competitors more ideas to just copy you?
I'll answer the latter first. I think that it is definitely inspiring other builders. I think that the majority of them look at it and like, I could never do that. And not because they can't, because they ultimately just don't, like, they're not able to market it in a way that makes sense. And they look at it as, this is, you know, I'm serving a market that can't financially support doing that particular detail. I get a lot of that feedback, like, hey, you're ruining my life because my clients want all this stuff, and it's like, I have to tell them it's expensive. The other side of it, do I think it's, you know, becoming the new luxury? I do think that what it's doing is it's building a ton of credibility and trust with a client. So when a client understands like that, I think everyone appreciates understanding the process, even when and if they don't understand it. And you see some of the biggest brands in the world are showing you like a peek behind the curtain of how it all comes together. And for us, we look at this as, you know, the house can be, you know, arguably I could have built this house very differently, but ended up with the same visual product. But we didn't. We built it, you know, equally as performance oriented as it is aesthetically oriented. And that in particular is an exact example of why I feel showing that process and showing why we go through the decisions and make the decisions really builds trust and credibility for us.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it. I've seen the whole process. Now, also, I mean, I'm a big believer. It's like a lot of agents in my industry will go and, you know, pitch a listing or, you know, say something along the lines like, please don't share that with, you know, so-and-so. For me, I leave everything behind. Whether it's my pitch deck, whether it's I go on Instagram and I tell a story about how I secured a listing or how I sold a listing, and everyone's like, why are you doing that? It's like, because you could tell them how it's done, but it doesn't mean that they're going to do it. Right. Like, it's like you have to have a different mindset. Not many people get up at 4:45 and 4:30 in the morning, 4:15 in the morning.
Right.
Not many people are obsessed with being successful, not only for themselves, but doing it in a way that is different than everybody else.
Right.
And no one wants to get uncomfortable at the end of the day. And that's why I don't think that you're giving away any secrets. I simply just don't think A, people are going to want to spend the money to do what you're doing, and B, I just don't think that they're capable. It's like a lot of people are just not capable of doing it. Maybe one day they will be, but you got to trust the process. You have to go through the process of getting to where you got. It's not just like overnight. Like, you're not going to go from working for someone as a carpenter to starting, your own development and custom home building company?
Well, I think that plays a big role into how we got here in this project, where, there's many factors to this project, but one of them is building something that is above market. And the question I get all the time is like, I don't understand how you could do that. How could you convince that many people to be part of this? And I said, the issue is you're looking at it, even in the short 3-year span of this project, it was 10 years of building a brand and awareness and who we are and building trust and credibility for a decade before we did that. And that is easily, overlooked because it seems like this is an aggressive first development project. And sure it is, but it wasn't, just one day.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was you, and that comes back to like me asking you the question of across all these builds you've done in these 10 years. And this is a tough question, so, give me a couple if you want. But what is your absolute favorite feature you have ever done in a home?
I knew you were going to ask me that, and that is incredibly hard.
Give me two. Top three.
Okay, that's now a little less incredibly hard. I think specific details, I think, are harder. I mean, I like this project specifically. I love the stone detailing. I love using stone in a monolithic way. But if I were to zoom out and think about what I care about and what's my favorite part of all of our projects, it's our understanding and use of materials in a way that is just like really authentic. And I think about, our use of plaster and wood and stone. It's always like what the material is. And outside of that, it's just really the pursuit of detailing where, there's always the intent behind the design and architecture, but the actual commitment to understanding what the intent is and pulling it off is oftentimes a huge separation between design and build. And for us...
But you've had to have solved the problem that you were like, because solving problems is fun.
Yeah.
Like, you like a challenge. So, like, there has to be... First off, my favorite feature in this house, for anyone who cares, is the staircase. So make sure we show the staircase at some point on this episode, because it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But there has to be a time where you've solved a problem, whether it was storage, whether it was a wine cellar, whether it was, needing to park an extra car. Who knows what? You do a lot of crazy shit, bro. Yeah. I'm sure you, made a car float, not an actual lift, but, I don't know, I feel like you could make cars disappear or something. There's going to be a cool feature you've done, not in this home specifically, outside of this home.
Outside of this home.
Where you solved the problem for somebody. And you were like, damn, I didn't even know that was possible.
I can rattle off a few because every project has always had something that, comes up as you can't do that. And so we built a home and the home was too close to the water and they really wanted a deck off the back of the building and they declined it. And I had...
you couldn't get it approved?
Couldn't get it approved. They would not allow anything closer to the water. And so I read through the regulations and I said, what if the deck doesn't touch the ground? And they're like, well, yeah, if it doesn't touch the ground, we're fine with it. So we built a steel cantilevered first floor that went all the way from the front of the house and then extended out the back 10 feet.
Wow.
And floated the deck off the back. So the deck was literally almost, you could see, basically drop to the water.
So is that essentially, because you can understand construction isn't my expertise, is that essentially like putting a giant LVL?
But they were steel.
They were steel.
But yeah, so we were extending about 10 feet out.
So you're talking
but
about
they were 40 feet long.
If this is the entire house, it's starting from the front, going all the way
out. Yeah.
Out here, and the deck is just floating on this.
Off, yeah. So that was a great challenge where it's like, all right, that's cool.
So then you feel like you're actually on the water.
Yeah, we're significantly closer, and you have the outdoor living space.
Wow.
You were gonna lose both.
Did you think about that right away, or was it you saw disappointment maybe?
No, that's really my favorite part of building is when there's always a challenge and I just will ask questions until someone tells me to shut up. And usually it starts with this wild concept of like, what if we hang it from the clouds? It's like, how are you going to hang it from the clouds? It's like, all right, let's back up. What if we put steel? So I think for me, it's always looking at the stuff that makes things, like someone's like, you can't do that. And then I immediately want to understand how to do it. And it's at every level. It's at, even in the really small projects that we do, I'm constantly thinking about, we're dealing with it right now. We have a cabinet and they're like, oh, they don't make a hinge that fits. I'm like, so make one. They're like, well, we can't find one. I'm like, no, make a hinge.
Make a hinge.
Like, they're like, well, I guess we could do that. I'm like, of course we can do that. Like, someone makes the hinge that you buy.
That's where people are cutting corners. That's where people are getting lazy, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, we had another project that was really tight lot on the ocean, and my team was spending hours working with the HVAC design. They had 3 heat pumps that had to be up on the roof. And we're going around and around. Finally, I jump in the meeting and we're chatting about it. I'm like, why do we have 3 heat pumps? They're like, well, the heating load is too high. I said, what if we add, like, where are we losing the most heat? They're like, in the floor system. I'm like, what if we add insulation? They're like, yeah, if you add 2 inches of insulation, I get rid of a heat pump. I'm like, add 2 inches of insulation,
More
guys.
energy efficient house.
Yeah.
Less expenses.
And it just becomes this thing where it's like everyone silos their
So why doesn't everyone do that, Nick?
Because everyone.
Why doesn't everyone add the extra 2 inches of insulation?
Because it's not, because because the guy that designed the insulation met the requirement for insulation.
And the minimum.
But whether it's a minimum or not, like, he met his criteria. When the HVAC, like, what I'm getting at is people silo their decision making, and unless you're working with someone like a good GC or a good design firm, unless someone is looking at that and trying to understand how those two come together and how to get the most efficient result, you end up with a product that you don't even recognize but ends up being compromised in the end.
Unfortunately, that's the case with everything.
Yeah.
With every industry, with everything. It's like people are just doing what they think is the norm.
Path of least resistance.
Yes.
And you can't fault a lot of people, because that is what market drives a lot. Where you become like, the commodity is to get as much for your dollar as possible, and people don't always equate that back to quality. Like, you look at the car market, you can look at the housing market, you can look at you can look at the restaurant market. Like, they all deal with very similar, issues, and it all comes back to how they market and how they brand.
That's so true. That's such a powerful statement too, because like, even in our industry, for example, it's like, we're going to send a postcard for just listed, and we're going to do this. It's like, okay, what's the ROI on that?
Sure.
And then when people say, you know what, there's a really busy supermarket in the center of town. We're going to, they have the trash bins, and we're going to, put an advertisement on it. We're going to advertise the house on it. First off, it's a trash barrel. Just
I'm following you.
People are throwing trash out, but there's no way to measure it.
Yeah.
Now, if they want to get a little more creative, which is not that creative, you put a fucking QR code on it. But
sure.
aside from that, it's like, that's what they continue to do because they see other people do it,
Mm-hmm.
but
no one thinks beyond what is required.
No.
And that's what I see as the issue in our industry, is like, if you're only doing what's required, then everyone's doing that.
Yeah, 100%. So your entire career, you've built custom projects for specific clients who knew what they wanted, who explained to you what was so important for them in their life. I've seen you walk through a home with a potential client. You ask all the questions you need to. What are you looking for? How many kids do you have? You need to know everything because you're building their life. This is a little different.
Yeah.
45 White Oak is a little different. You're building something for the future buyer. And what are some of the differences and challenges that you have to deal with here when you're not building for the specific person, you're building for the future person?
Yeah, I think it was, for me in this project specifically, it was the balance of understanding that the traditional way to build something on spec is to do it for as many people as possible and cater to a market of many. And where we came in and we looked at this as, I don't want to market to many. I want to build a really high quality home as if there were a buyer involved. But the challenge of that is, you know, obviously like I'm shrinking it from a buyer pool, but I look at it as that becomes another challenge, right? Like, all right, there will always be someone that is interested in buying every home, I think.
For the same price as every other home.
Sure, but from the challenge here, without that buyer, I'm making the decisions. We are making the decisions. Myself and Vincent are making the decisions, and we're doing it by addressing what we think the market wants, but always checking back in with what the architectural intent was, and making sure that there's at least some sort of alignment there. So we're not
what the market doesn't have.
And what the market doesn't have, right?
That's the most important one, obviously. What doesn't exist.
Yeah, and truthfully, when we thought about what the market doesn't have, then it became, if we are going to do this, then there is no compromise, because the moment we make one compromise, everything else the wheels fall off. So there were specific moments in this build where, you know, we were sitting in meetings and making decisions on what we should do for a particular detail. And I remember the conversation coming up like, well, this is actually less expensive. And we then stopped and said, wait a second, before we address that, like, what is the actual best scenario here? Should we use the more expensive thing, or does the less expensive thing actually equate to the same? And oftentimes the more expensive thing was the better result. And so we, you know, despite having a really great option to scale back, we just didn't, and we kept not doing that. And at the end of the day, we look around and it's like, this is why we made the decisions that we made, and what really mattered here.
And then obviously understanding what can be changed and what can't. Like,
of course, yeah.
You know, there's like, once again, just because the home is completed, it doesn't mean you can't make necessary changes.
No, of course not. Yeah.
You know, still check a box for somebody.
Of course, yeah.
That's how people renovate homes.
Yeah,
and that's
right.
What you've done.
Yeah, this isn't a home that you can't renovate.
You can't
You can't change.
You can make if you want to make this beautiful room, which I would be very upset if someone did.
Please don't tell me.
But if you want to if someone wanted to make this a theater and block off the windows and
sure. Yeah.
you know, black everything out, power to you. I mean.
Yeah, let me take the photos first.
But it's different strokes for different folks. Now,
sure.
I have to go back to a feature. This is from where we started. I mentioned the staircase
yeah.
as a feature, but I was walking through a home on Monday, and we were in a family room where this property in the city had a beautiful bay window. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't help but understand that you get a bay window right there, and the people that were currently living in the home mm-hmm. put a TV stand in the middle of the bay window, overlooking Calm Ave, by the way. Great address.
Yeah.
And they put a TV smack dab in the middle. And this isn't a renter, this is an owner. Shocked. And I just said, what the heck? How could you block it? And they're like, where? And then my clients, with the buyers, are like, where else can you put a TV? I go, guys, there's a beautiful window right there. They go, you're gonna block the window? I go, no. I'm sure my buddy Nick can keep the window when you don't want to watch TV. But there's got to be a way. You build a pocket door here mm-hmm. or something where the TV slides out. He did it at his house in Wellesley. Mm-hmm. I go, he had a beautiful window, and then he had a vanity, the bathroom vanity. The sink was right in the window, mm-hmm. but you then had the issue where you don't have a mirror
right.
because you don't want to block the window. No problem. The mirrors slide out, slide in, and they can go right back out. You can block the window for the 2 seconds and you look in the mirror, yep. and then you put them back and you get all the sunshine coming back in.
We've done a lot of hidden TVs. One of them.
And it's crazy. That was a really cool feature
yeah.
in this house, and I was like, wow, you just solved the problem.
Yeah.
Which was very creative and probably not insanely expensive.
No.
But people are just,
yeah.
no, they're just going to move the vanity.
Right.
And they're going to do it somewhere else.
The
architect said to put it there. We have to do that.
Right.
So tell me, what kept you up at night the most with this project? And put finances aside, put money Forget the brick, like the process of the build or the decision you had to make. Am I doing this or am I doing that? The challenges of the lot. Give me the biggest concern or, thing that was eating you up at night where you were like, damn, I got to figure this out.
Honestly, I mean, I think the thing that kept me up the most at night was just the constant convincing of getting everyone on board for what we were doing here and always having the conversation about, this needs to be your best work. And the concern that someone on the team would misinterpret that and not produce at their highest quality. The challenges of construction, I mean, the lot was a difficult lot. It was, we dealt with ledge. It's a tight lot. There's wetland setback. None of that stuff truthfully keeps me up because to me that is the process of construction.
And you've dealt with a lot of those challenges already.
Yeah, of course. And it was more about, making sure that every time someone showed up here that they understood and they were committed to building at, their individual highest quality.
Makes sense. Now, give me a mistake. Not a mistake, a lesson.
Sure.
From this home. Because I'm assuming I'm something that you learned that like you were like, damn, all the homes I've did custom builds for. That's the first. Like for me, I just dealt with the craziest transaction of my life.
Sure.
I've done 250 of them.
Sure.
The first time I ever had to deal with this specific scenario with a deposit and money and something that was hidden in a P&S that no attorney even caught. And I was like, how the hell did no one catch that? And someone got really, really sneaky in a document that literally made the deposit not legally binding. And they had an out that no one knew about. So what's something new that you learned doing this project? There's got to be something. Come on.
There's a bunch of micro lessons here. I mean, when you think about when you ask me what is the biggest lesson learned here,
in the construction side of it.
Yeah.
In the construction side, is it?
Let me answer this a couple different ways. I will say that there was dozens of mistakes made, but we accepted none of them, and we ripped out finished material and redid stuff constantly because it just wasn't good enough. So like mainly for me is like because everyone makes change orders. Obviously, even developers they want things to look as good as possible. Sure.
You're definitely a perfectionist, so you might have saw like a little dent in a wall or something, and you were going to probably bring the guys to come replaster it. But like that's not that costly. What's something that was actually costly that you were like, I probably shouldn't do this. This is gonna really kick into because this is good for people to understand. Like,
I think from here, like the cladding on the outside is something I wildly underestimated.
Cost-wise too.
Cost-wise.
Got it.
From an installation perspective, there's no mistake there. The mistake was underestimating it, but it was just a really challenging material, which took 3 times as long as we expected it to.
For the install.
Got
it.
So in that, like, what was the lesson learned? And we sat down as a team and considered, like, is it just the nature of the install, or was it the way we installed it? And it was both. And
Isn't siding, bro?
Yeah.
Siding though. Like what's the difference?
But this is the difference is
what type of siding is outside?
So this is a Danish brick.
A Danish brick.
And it hangs on a cladding system. And behind that we have exterior insulation before we even get to our waterproofing. So
they're all at a specific slant.
They're all, so what the challenge was is the detailing where all the windows are. We return all the brick back into the window, and by doing that, you're mitering these bricks. You're compound mitering every single brick, and it's just and all of the sheet metal is all custom bent. So it just became extremely laborious. And
now someone buys this home, right? Because someone's going to buy it soon. So don't wait too long for those who have been driving by this house, just to let you guys know. You buy this house and all that stuff you just said. I don't really understand some of the terminology.
Sure.
I got to go to work every day.
Right.
I buy this beautiful house. My wife also works. What happens when one of these things fall? Who takes care of it?
Well, two things. Number one, the cladding will last hundreds of years. It doesn't require any maintenance. So there's no mortar. There's no maintenance on.
So
on
nothing
brick.
can happen to this
Nothing
stuff.
can happen unless you're taking I don't even think a baseball would break it.
So
but
Celtics Game 7, I'm in a bad mood. I should probably.
You would break your hand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
For sure.
Good to know. Game 7, I'm not getting you in.
Game 7, it's like I gotta drive to Wellesley. But from
It's built to last.
But from a maintenance perspective, we maintain our home. So whatever we build, we enroll in our home care program. So we're coming out once a year to clean it and just make sure it's in tip-top condition anyway. So part of building with us on the custom, or in this case the spec side, is that this is it's not our asset, but we treat it as our asset, and we want the home to always show as though it is in the best condition of its life. So it's
And I would know that, by the way.
Yeah.
I would know that.
Right.
I'm a client of yours.
Of course, yeah. When
I'm a client of yours. You built.
If they call me and say, "Hey, George swung by last night after Game 7 and broke one of our brick tiles," I'd be there the afternoon to replace it.
And you've done that. Let's give Julian a little credit here.
Well,
Julian, who is really the brains behind the operation here, guys. Just kidding. But Julian has came by our office a number of times. For those who don't know, NS Builders did a complete gut renovation and built the Sarkis Team HQ from scratch. We had our challenges because it was 2 spaces in the city. They got it done. They got it done in a timely fashion, and they have never forgot about us, which is very important. That's a custom, obviously. It's an office. You guys saw the value in partnering up with us, and here we are partnering up again.
Yeah.
So let's jump to, we've heard a lot of the building, touch points about this magnificent home. I don't want to give everyone all of, I don't want everyone to know what they're seeing without actually coming and seeing it, because obviously, first thing I said is you won't believe it until you're actually here and feeling it. But aside from the construction side, you have been very involved in the media aspect of building your brand. You and I both enjoy social media. I need to get to your level when it comes to followers. I'm only like 30,000, but
I hear they're going to delete the follower count anyway. So,
really?
that's what I hear.
Oh, wow. I hope not. For some people, that's good. Devin on my team has I think 500 followers, so maybe that'll be good for her.
She keeps it local.
Yeah, she keeps it local. Follow Devin, everyone, please. But a lot of people just hire photographers and videographers, but you've built a dedicated media company.
Yeah.
Why did you decide you needed that and needed your own cameras to tell your own story?
Well, I think it comes back to my attention to detail. So we brought it in-house mainly so I could control the creative.
Control the narrative too.
Yeah, and I say that, but I realize I'm not the one actually controlling the creative or narrative. It's more the fact that we've, Doug at Motif and myself just understand what we love, and I love building, and he loves telling the story, and the way he tells the story is very on brand for who we are. The reason we
found a perfect partnership.
Exactly, and they have since grown, and now it's a team. But the ability for us, the reason we brought that in-house and why we do so much of it is that we saw the ability to grow as a construction company faster and get to the spot we wanted in the marketplace by leveraging a media outlet, social media, that no one else was using. So for us, we,
while providing transparency and ideas and showing it all.
Yeah, and honestly, there's so many benefits to putting it out in the world where, there's been plenty of times we put something out and then people are like, that's wrong. Or you can't do that. And so I'll tell you.
That is so true. And that's very powerful that you even just admitted that.
Yeah, I'll tell you, we put a foundation in the ground years ago for a house, and we waterproofed it, insulated the foundation, backfilled it, and I got an email basically stop operation, you totally screwed that up. That's not the way you do it. and they were like, we are voiding the warranty, like bad. So I was like, let's hop on a call. So basically what happened was these two manufacturers didn't have compatibility with each other. So they were both saying that they were going to walk away from the project. And I was like, what do you want me to do? They were like, we want you to excavate the entire foundation, grind the foundation, re-waterproof it, re-insulate it. So I'm like, okay, we'll do that. And so we worked through it.
This is a custom build.
Custom build client, yeah. So I'm like, have to let the client know. So then I go through the mechanics of why it's going to fail. Come to find out, it won't fail. But they just didn't have like the compatibility literature. So I was like, wait a second. So this is just a matter of like you guys coordinating and finding out like this is compatible. And they were like, listen, what the issue is you have a big following and you did a video on it. So now people are going to think that is like the right way to do it. Do us a favor. We'll write you a letter saying it's fine, but we need you to do a video basically saying, hey, I did this wrong. Let me walk you through the correct way to do it. So we did.
What?
We did an apology video.
That is, when was this?
20, maybe 22, 21.
Can you send me this video? I gotta see this.
So I basically was like, hey guys,
awesome.
I'm a moron and this was wrong. This is the right way to do it. So we're gonna fix it. And truthfully that has happened. That's happened more than once. And so for me, like the ability to throw something in the world and then immediately get feedback on it. And I mean, trust me, there's plenty of like bullshit and hate and stuff like that, which
of course.
I've been doing it a decade. I literally don't care about it. But when there's like real tangible feedback and someone's correcting something I do, I want to know.
But if people aren't hating and talking and saying, negative things or just, then you're doing something wrong.
Yeah. I mean, it's so funny.
You're doing something wrong.
It's so funny what people think.
And I've learned, say less, do more, shut the fuck up and listen.
Yeah.
And what I really think is huge for the media, which is something I want to do. My video guys and my photo guys might not always be so happy when they hear this, but I mean, I need someone there with me all the time. And I think the fact that you have that is how you're able to capture all these little details and mistakes live, because it's not the same. If you go back and, run it again. It's like because the actual reaction is so powerful in the moment. Like, I think sometimes if the cameras are just rolling.
Yeah, there was one point where we had the camera on every day, filming everything we did, and we cut it up, and we found efficiency in not doing that. But what we have found more efficiency with is every one of our projects gets filmed and photographed professionally once a week. And so we're just banking the information, like banking the video. So for 3 years, someone has shown up at this property, photographed it, at least 20 plus photos in that day, and then video captured everything that was going on. So interesting, like I've never recognized this, like my team probably realizes how much content we have, but someone was talking to us about doing a video for the home, and I had showed them what we have, and he was like, this is the most well-documented residential construction project, this is what they said, in the world. And I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. Like we film every week. He's like, yeah, but no one, people always want to, but then like life gets in the way. And it's like, oh, I'll just film it next week. It's like, you've literally committed to doing it every single week for 3 years. I'm like, yeah, but so I have 5 other projects that are like that. And it's really cool. I mean, there's like levels and layers to why we do it, but from a content perspective, it's cool.
Yeah, you can never have too much content. I mean, if I could keep my guy around 24/7, we would be able to tell way more stories.
Yeah, I mean, we have stacks of hard drives, and I think we estimated that 50% of what we have will never see social media.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, for those who don't follow you, which is very few, how do they follow NS Builders?
Just at NS Builders, yeah.
On Instagram, TikTok?
Instagram, we are on TikTok. YouTube is where our real nice cinematic videos are.
Where can people find the video of your apology?
On YouTube.
On YouTube.
Yeah.
Everyone go check that out. I'd like to see him in a vulnerable state at some point too. So
I'm still confident.
So, shifting gears now. We've talked about the business. We've talked about, White Oak, which like I said, I don't want to give people too much information. And, you've talked about some of your favorite features. You've talked about some of your biggest challenges, lessons, you name it. Let's put NSBOs aside.
Sure.
And let's put this thing aside because this is something I can talk about very, very easily. And it's fatherhood.
Yeah.
We all go to work every single day and we care so much about every single thing having to do with our companies that we've built from the ground up. You have employees you care about. You have clients you care so much about. I would know. But you now have 4 beautiful kids. You're married, live in the city. Talk about the challenges, mainly as being a father.
Yeah.
And how you're able to, I'm going to have to say survive.
Yeah.
Because, it's a struggle. No one has this shit down to a science. If they do, they're lying to you.
Yeah, they're lying.
If you're building something special.
Yeah, I think the fallacy of work-life balance is something that I have a hatred for. And what I have come to respect and realize is that when you are great at business, you are going to be not great at fatherhood or a husband. It's impossible. And that doesn't mean that you are only great at business forever, but in the very moment of you being great at business, that very moment, the other thing suffers. And when you are a great dad...
You can be good, though.
Sure. I'm only talking about great.
Great.
I don't care if it's good, bad, or indifferent. My point is when you are solely focused on work for the day, you are not there as a father or a husband. When you are home and you are a father and a husband, you are not there for work. There will be times where you flip the switch on and off.
100%.
But the point of this is that everyone tries to find the perfect balance, and the sooner that someone realizes that there is no perfect balance, and that when you are in the moment that you are in, be the best version of that you can. So surviving is absolutely the right description there.
But what about also being somewhat disciplined, right? So
Well, I think that's where I was going with the surviving.
So there will be a time in Nick's life or Nick's week where, you're calling your team, you're letting people know, I'm locked in. I'm going to be great for the next 6 hours or for the next 3 hours.
It's not even so much announcing it. It's just it is building discipline around what I need to get done.
But you have to let people know. You have to let clients know. Because for me, and everyone's different, right? So for me, it's I always used to be I'm 24/7. You can get me whenever you need me.
Sure.
But now my narrative has changed. It's simply, listen, I'm a psychopath when it comes to work. I'm going to bust my ass. I'm going to work harder than anybody else. But I don't work 24 hours a day.
Sure.
I have 2 beautiful daughters who I love and adore. And, I really like to dedicate, the hours of 6:30 to 8:30 or 7 and 9 to them where I can sit down and eat dinner and put them to bed, and then I can jump back into it. So unless your house is fucking burning or there's an offer being negotiated,
sure,
I'll holler at you at 9.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be great for those 2 hours.
Yeah.
And then obviously there's other different points in the week, in the year, where I try to just completely check out because, it's slow, for example, 4th of July week.
Sure.
Other areas. But it's a challenge for me. It's trial and error, dude.
Yeah.
Because now my 8-year-old is literally telling me, can you please get off your phone?
Yeah.
That was something that didn't happen a year ago.
Right.
Now I'm just damn. And then I'm realizing, because you see these movies sometimes, you see these clips about you're not going to get it back. And I'm
right.
Damn, you feel a little guilty. You can't help but be guilty.
No, I'm with you. The guilt is something
I have to deal with it all the time.
Yeah, and I talk about this on our podcast, and happened to talk about it this morning. We recorded and we were talking about fatherhood specifically. And guilt is absolutely a real thing, and I think that again, it comes down to the balance of realizing it's there, recognizing it, and then making sure that you are stepping up where where you need to for your family. For me announcing, and I've done that. I've said, hey, these are my work hours. This is when I'll get back to you. I have just decided that doesn't work for me. Where it's, hey, I'm going to get back to you. I don't even tell them. They get my response when they get my response. If a house is on fire, frankly, like they should be calling the fire department anyway, not me.
That's a very good point.
But if there's something where it's like a true emergency that like only requires me, like I will address it. I might be having dinner. I'm not going to be checking my phone, but I'll get up and when I'm cleaning the kitchen or something and I check my phone and realize there's an emergency.
So Barman, you can shut it off.
I used to really struggle.
But now so tell me.
But it's not that I shut it off. It's just that I have realized that there is nothing in this world. I'll get a little deep here. Nothing matters. Period. Like I just truly believe that everything that we're doing, at the end of the day, life is a game. We are playing the game. Your chips go back in the middle of the table when you're done, and you're gone. And like we all want to build a legacy. We all want to be remembered to be as a great dad, as a great husband, as a great friend, all of these things. But if you really zoom out, all of the things that are challenging in life, all of the issues and the hard things in life won't matter at some point. And when in that very moment, I think that it pushes you to an absolute like critical limit where you feel as though you're all this responsibility to fix it. But the reality is like if you don't, it will get fixed tomorrow. And I mean that when I think about life. Like obviously I run my business differently where it's like business is like a small move in your life where it's like, yeah, of course I'm going to address things quickly and like I want to be good for my client.
But you the way you broke that down is it's true.
Yeah.
Now it's true, and for us it's true. For me specifically, it's really been true in specific moments in life.
Yeah.
When I've lost someone.
Right.
I had a friend who, God rest his soul, passed away last year, and this dude worked harder than anyone else. He was a top real estate agent. He cared about his clients more than he cared about anything.
And he's gone.
And guess what?
Yeah, his game's over.
His game's over.
And there was times that I'm sure he looked back at like I played too hard.
Yeah. And then at that moment, I'm talking 2 weeks, man. Like,
yeah,
I didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I didn't care. People wanted to call me. People wanted to talk about. I got listing calls, and I was just like, thank God I had good employees that could pick me up when I was down. But it was hard.
Yeah.
Because you're like, why?
Right.
I just want to go home and hug my kids.
Right.
And then you get back into it, and it's like, now I try my best to do a lot of reflecting, and really try my best to just. Because it's not going to be here. Mm-hmm. It's really not. And I don't want to have to worry about, I don't want to have to wait until I lose someone else or I want to, I don't want to.
But that's why you work so hard is like I don't want to wait for me to retire to hang out with my kids. I don't want to wait until like most builders in my industry, I've interviewed 400 of them, right? And all of them that have created success, they all attribute their success to the fact that their kids are grown. Where it's like when their kids are young, like life is so hard and their business never thrived. Where it's like when they were in college or out of the house, it's like that's when every one of those businesses exploded because their focus became their business. And and I'm like, I just refuse to believe that. And I will build a successful business and be a great dad. And I will allow myself to have moments where I feel like I'm not being a great business person, and I will allow myself to have moments when I feel like I'm not being a great family man.
You have to. Yeah. You have to. Now, like you said, everything, we're all going to go one day. Mm-hmm. Now, just so we make this a little more humorous with the ending, I can tell you what will still be here.
It's this house.
Is the siding on this house. That's built to last. This
house is going to outlast me.
There's going to be someone sitting in this room in the year 2150.
And they're like, oh man, Nick was such a great guy.
Dude, the fireplace is still here. But anyways, we're going to wrap this up. We're going to have to definitely have a part 2 on your podcast this time, and we'll just run it back. Thank you so much for being here. The way I really want to close this out is in 50 years, in 100 years when the siding's still here. If you were to want your name in NS Builders to be remembered, give me NS Builders and give me Nick Schiffer. 2 words. One for Nick, one for NS Builders. How do you want to be remembered? And this wasn't on the script. This wasn't on the agenda, brother. This is, how does Nick Schiffer want it? 1 word.
Dedicated.
Dedicated. And NS Builders.
Relentless.
Relentless. I like that. Dedicated and relentless. Thanks so much for being here, bro.
Thanks, bro.